I'm Anneliese from Eye Candy Quilts, and I wanted to talk to you about some things for Me Made May. Now, if you're not familiar, Me Made May is a month where sewists of all different levels go in and try to create or expand upon their handmade wardrobe. My background is I'm Anneliese of Eye Candy Quilts, like I said. So Eye Candy Quilts is a quilt pattern design company. So that's what we do all the time. That's our main focus is quilts, as you can see behind me. But my background is, as I was raised by a quilter, the other half of Eye Candy Quilts, Brenda, so I was raised doing quilts, but I also have a degree in textile and apparel design. So, and that's the only reason I have one of those is because I couldn't figure out how to make quilting my major. So there's that. So I have tools and skills just because they made me, on how to make clothes and how to make them fit you and what you need to know. So as a quilter, and that is my primary thing, I wanted to give other quilters who might venture into the world of garment sewing some tips and tricks and also some information about concepts you might not be familiar with. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is the concept of ease. Now, ease, if you ever had a shirt, or my favorite are like wedding dresses where in movies where the bride bends over and she splits her dress and everyone's like, oh, Home Alone face. That's because there was not enough ease in the dress. So ease just refers to any difference from your body measurement versus what your clothes measure. So you can have both positive ease, so if your clothes are bigger than what your measurements are, or negative ease, in which case they are smaller. And you really only want smaller negative ease for something like a knit where you want it to be tight and clingy. If you have negative ease on a woven garment or something that like a crisp collared shirt or a wedding dress, a skirt, pants, if you have negative ease there, that means you're going to bust a seam and it's going to be a sad day. So I will freely give my measurements, and anything that people say that is negative about my measurements, I will delete you, block you, whatever. So this is for education purposes. I don't care about a number. And also, as a quilter, here's another way to look at your measurements, because I have friends that are like, I don't want to measure myself. Okay, so this is my little soapbox. Bear with me. We don't get mad at an 8-inch block. So an 8-inch block is no different than a 12-inch block. So they're both good blocks. They both do the thing of making the quilt. That's all that those measurements say. They just give you a guide for the rest of the stuff you need to do. That's the same thing with body measurements, as like you're not mad at yourself for being an 8-inch block, a 12-inch block, or a 3-inch block. You're just a good block and you're going to make a good quilt. So whatever your measurements are, for example, I am a 40-inch bust, like it doesn't really matter. It's just a number that I need to look at something else. So, like I said, I'm a 40-inch bust. So if I have something that we're trying to figure out ease, I need to have something that is above 40 inches. So I have a number of different patterns, and this is not sponsored by anyone. This is just reference of things that I have, including indie patterns. And I have more, but I just grabbed what was available. And if you look at the patterns, this is something, so ease is something that knitting patterns, I think, explain really well. When like someone designs something, they say designed with a 0 to 2-inch ease, or, negative ease, or 4 inches of ease, or whatever. Regular sewing patterns they don't cover this at all. Sorry, there's going to be a cat in a second. Okay, pause. Okay, I'm back. There was a cat. We're fine. So ease, so like I said, I have a 40-inch measurement for a bust, and that's the point that we are going to look at. And so I need a garment measurement for a garment using wovens that is above 40 inches. Otherwise, it'll be too tight. I can't breathe. I like breathing. So let's take a look. Let's look at an indie So here's a Vogue. We'll look at this Vogue one, and we'll look at Derby Dress, Christine Haynes, and April Rhodes, as you can see, well loved, Writing Peplum. So we've got two indie designers and a mass-produced one. So what you want to look for is, I've seen this, it looks like it happens for the mass-produced ones on the little flappy guy here. So you look there, and that's where you look for what your measurements are. So you use that, and then on some patterns, not all of them, this is my problem with some patterns, that you use your measurements, and that's how you figure out your size. So it doesn't say on this mass-produced, the Vogue pattern, it doesn't say what the finished garment measurement is across the bust. So if I'm looking for a 40-inch bust, I'm a size 18 in this vintage Vogue pattern. Again, numbers don't matter. I'm still a good 8-inch block. 8-inch blocks are fine. So I know I need to do a size 40. So that's what we got there. Or a size 18, sorry, for a 40-inch bust. Looking at this April Rhodes pattern, I'm in between a large and an extra large. So we've got a large of either a 39 3/4 for the dress, or an extra large is a 43. Oh, sorry. Ha! She did the nice thing. Thank you, April Rhodes. Okay, so she has two parts here where you have your body measurement as, let's say, an extra large is a 41, so that's 1 inch bigger than me. And then her finished dress measurement, an extra large at the bust, is a 43. So that we know that has 2 inches of ease. So you can tell from the pattern there whether or not you want 2 inches of ease. This one, or if it's, proportioned to work with you. This one here, which is Christine Haynes Derby Dress, it has body measurement up top. Thank you, indie designers. I knew I loved you. Has body measurement up top, so I'm in between a 12 and a 14. I'm at a 40-inch bust. A 12 is a 39, 14 is a 41. But I can figure it out that a 12 has the finished garment size of a 42, and a 14 has a finished garment size of 44. So a 2 inches of ease for me is probably going to work. I know I can go with the 12 on this one. So that's a little bit about ease and looking at a pattern and figuring out where you want to be. And you can see that I was in between a number of sizes for a couple of different patterns. So I have some of my garments that I wear, and you can use this sort of technique. It's not really a technique. It's just a little bit of prep work for figuring out what size you want. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. A little bit of prep work for figuring out what size you want to pick. So you know the math, but do you know how you like your clothes to fit? So let's look at some actual clothing measurements. Let's do that. Okay, we've talked about ease. Now here's a little tip for helping you figure out how you like your clothes to fit, and therefore what patterns you want to pick for your first Me Made May. So this here is a dress, and I just wanted to give it as a couple examples of what not to pick. So I'm talking about woven fabrics, and I'm going to do a woven pattern. So this is a dress that I have in my closet, but I do not want to pick this to figure out ease because it's a knit. So any ease that this has is going to be affected by the stretchiness of the fabric. So this is not a good option for figuring out if this is how I like my clothes to fit. This goes away. The next option for figuring out how I like my clothes to fit is this shirt here, which in, first glance would be great, but it's not just flat across the bust area, so it's not just one piece that I can easily measure. It has these things called darts at the side to compensate for the bust area and to make sure that it fits a little more snugly to the body. So this is not going to work because it's not a flat piece of fabric, so we don't want to do this one. This crazy colorful thing, shocking, I know, I have colorful clothing, is just basically a front and a back and shoulder seam. There's no darts at the side, nothing there, just one seam, Nothing, no gathers, anything like that. It is a flat piece of fabric. So what I'm going to do to figure out the ease of this is, let me grab my ruler. Here we go. I'm just using my regular quilting ruler, and I'm measuring from basically, I don't know, 2 inches under the armpit, all the way to 2 inches under the armpit. Let's see. So that's at probably about 20.5 inches, which I can't really show you. So it's about 20.5 inches. So that means if we double it, that gets what it's going to be all the way around. So that'll be about 41 inches. So there's only about 1 inch of ease in this shirt. But I also know that it's a little tight when I wear it. So 1 inch plus would be a good place to start when I'm trying to figure out ease for my garment. Okay, so we've looked at some shirts, some dresses, and figured out what ease is. So remember, ease is the difference between what your clothing measurement is and what your body measurement is. So ease can either be, again, positive, where your clothing is bigger than your body, or negative, where your clothing is smaller, and that's for something that you would generally want to be a knit because it's going to be very tight and hugging your body. So hope this helps you figure out which patterns you want to do for Me Made May, or at least reading a pattern for the first time. And stay tuned as we come up with more things to share with you. I'll see you soon, quilters. Check out eyecandyquilts.com, and of course all of our stuff on Instagram at Eye Candy Quilts.